Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscashikuwa if you're joining me for the very first time, and to all my returning subscribers, hey, what's up? How you doing? This happens to be the second video of this year. I have a flu coming down, so I really hope that I can be able to just really articulate the message that I really want to, and that's really on my heart to share. The first video of this year, I was so fired up to just really share about how your 2023 would be like and how you need to just face it head on regardless of the situation. And I think after that video and what I have been experiencing like the past month or past few weeks, and that's probably the major reason I haven't been uploading as consistently. I have been like just experiencing some setbacks and just really something that just puts you back after having that feel good message, and then all of a sudden you find yourself really in this hard situation, and it kind of feels like, okay, I'm doing one thing and now something is just, it feels like it's working against me. And I think life really throws lemons at you when you are in a place when you want to be fired up, work on things that God has put in your heart. And I love to listen to Patrice Washington, who is the host of the Redefining Wealth podcast, and she said something about experiencing resistance when you are pursuing purpose, and when you are chasing your dreams, and when you're going after the things God has put in your heart. And I feel like we all go through that moment where sometimes we feel we just really are telling ourselves that, God, this is the time that I'm definitely going to work on the thing and the dream that you have put in my heart. This is the time I'm going to work on that idea. And it feels like one moment you're in this high note, fully motivated, and you take like one step forward, and all of a sudden everything feels like it's just not working out, and it feels like life is against you. And sometimes you get to question, like, okay, do I really have a whole pass on this, right? Like, is this coming from God? Like, why do I have to face this challenge? Why does it have to be so hard? And I feel like the past few weeks for me has been quite interesting, because when I was like in the mess and in the midst of a storm, or in the midst of my challenges, and just trying to face the fact like, okay, I'm trying to take a step here, and everything that could go left has just gone left. Everything that could go wrong has just gone wrong. And here I am trying to control the situation and trying to like get things on track, and it was just really hard. And I really thought to myself, okay, like, what can I do? And in that moment I thought, what way could I just be in a place where I can just be at peace? And I realized that for me it meant I just had to be still, to stop trying to make things work, and say, okay, God, I will be in peace, in rest, and not try so hard, and just really allow you, God, to like lead me. Because I'm trying to work it, but I have all of a sudden like, okay, I'm just in the middle of this mess. And for me, that meant just really focusing on God's voice and trying to get back to that place where I can be focused on His word. And that's the thing, is that we go through so many distractions, and sometimes I think when you just center and just really focus and go back to God's voice, the one who called you, the one who's placed the idea in you, the one who has called you according to His purpose, and when you just really focus on Him, you realize that all that's just happening is just a distraction. And if you just really focus on God's voice, you gain so much clarity, because as all this is happening to make you feel like it's just not gonna work out, I started to realize that distractions are always going to happen. Things will always happen. Something will always happen to make you feel like it's not gonna work out. Something is always going to be there to make you feel, to set you back. But when you just focus on God and just hear Him, what He's really trying to get you to do is to focus on Him and not the distraction. And once I just stilled my mind and just allowed myself to be in peace and really listen to what God is saying, is to move when He says you move, is to be still when He asks you to just be still, to be prepared to be fully committed to Him and not just to what you want, but be committed to fully surrender to Him, to fully surrender to His leading, to fully surrender to His way, not your way, not your plan, not how it will happen or how you think it should happen, but His way. And that total surrender for me taught me that in the midst of my mess and me thinking like, okay, what am I going to do? Is in that moment, I think for me, is that He was also refining the manner in which I was looking at things. And I had a bigger realization of things, steps that I needed to take, which I wasn't aware of. I started to have this clarity of certain things that I need to do, which I never thought about. But because I allowed myself to just steer away from the distraction, listen to His voice, and be able to see what is He trying to get me to focus on, even when there's so much distraction. And so for me, He made me realize, like, look, you haven't clearly planned well, and you need clarity in this area. You need to cut down on this. And I think I had like that aha moment. And for me, it makes me also realize that all things work together for His good. So you could feel like, okay, I'm in the mess. I'm trying to pursue purpose. I'm trying to bring this idea into reality, and everything's just gone wrong. My finances have gone wrong, and this whole plan that I'm trying to figure out is just not working out. But because all things work together for His good, everything happens for a reason. And when you feel like this is just working against you, God would not allow it to happen, but He would allow it to happen for a reason. And I think I've experienced many challenges that have taught me that it always brings me back to that place of knowing that I can trust Him. That when it looks like it's not working out, that thing that I'm experiencing is happening for a reason. And in these past few weeks, I felt like I could just say, okay, fine, how best could I take advantage of this moment when all things are not working out the way I want them to, and I'm pushing and I'm trying? But if I can be still, then how can I take advantage of this moment where I can be still? It's really a how can I make the lemonade from the lemons? Or how can I turn the situation around to work for my good. And when I realized that being still was the way that I could turn around that situation for good, then I knew that in that moment that, okay, this is not the time to push. This is the time to re-strategize or to get direction from God. This is the time for me to be able to see what God is able to, what God wants me to do, what He's asking me to do, and not what I want to do for myself. And it worked out for me because I realized that sometimes we just have too many things in our mind, too many ideas, that we're pretty not sure what direction we may need to go. And I'm one of those people who gets so excited and fired up about every single thing that gets in my mind. But I'm also coming to learn and realize that it's okay to be so passionate about these things. But what's important is finding the thing that you have been called for and knowing that this is exactly what God has called you to do. And I feel like this year my channel is also going to be so different because I'm getting in that place where God wants me to create the kind of content which is more intentional, and it's gonna be very different. It's not the way that it would be or what you have been seeing. I kind of feel that this year is going to be so different, and I think it's always important to always ask yourself, what is it that in this midst of this whole mess that God wants me to do? What does He want me to figure out? Instead of like, okay, fine, like, God, maybe I didn't get a whole pass on this. Why does it have to be so hard? Like, instead of you resisting more when there is the resistance, or when you're pushing and then you're pushing back, to me, I think it's really about, okay, having just that total surrender. And I think Oprah Winfrey had shared her story of her moment of surrender when she was trying to push for a role, when she wanted when she wanted to play the role that she felt, she believed that she was called for in the movie Beloved. And when she did everything that she had to do and she thought, okay, this is my role, and it got passed on to somebody, she had to find a way of just literally just letting that go and being in total surrender of being in just total surrender of knowing that you've done the best that you can and you did everything that you thought you did, but it's just not going your way. And I think that's the important thing about also walking into what you feel you've been called for into 2023 is just really having the total surrender to God and His way and His plan, to trust in Him in all things, even when you are experiencing the mess, even when you're experiencing the resistance, even when you are experiencing what may feel like a setback. So I hope this message has been more encouraging to you. I really hope that this channel will be one that, empower you, inspire you, keep you delighted in having just more conversations that can like lift us up and get us to that place where we need to be, and where we need to be able to speak positively and highly of ourselves